Hi, I'm Vanita Hampton-Wright, and with Loyola Press, and today we are in the historic and beautiful Music Box Theater on Southport Avenue in Chicago. And we have one of our authors with us today, Jake Martin. And the reason we're sitting on a stage is because not only is Jake a Jesuit, but he's also a stand-up comedian. And so we thought, well, let's try to get a little closer to what he deals with day to day. So I'm going to ask the obvious question, Jake, because that's the first thing that's going to come to people's minds. A Jesuit and stand-up comedian, how do those two things work together for you?
That's a good question. I think they work together. They're beginning to come together. I think the person who had the most difficulty with the Jesuit and the stand-up comedian was myself, and I think for a while that was the big problem. I had this idea, or this image of what a Jesuit was supposed to be, and what I was supposed to be as a Jesuit, and being a comedian was a little bit of a difficult thing. And so for a while I tried to remove that part of my life when I became a Jesuit. I tried to become as holy as I could. Unfortunately, or fortunately, as the case may be, God had other plans, and so the comedian thing kept coming back up, kept, bobbing back up to the surface, as it were. And so slowly but surely in my Jesuit career and life, comedy has come to take a good place in that world. And so I continue to do comedy today. I write and perform and do all sorts of stuff. And they found it's found comedy and Jesuit and all of that stuff has found a good sort of equilibrium in my life. And they, as a matter of fact, they seem to not only complement one another, but they also seem to inform and help each other, each side of each one or the other flourish, so to speak. Mm-hmm. They help to infuse one another and give them more life, I should say.
So what do you enjoy most about the moments when you're on stage doing your stand-up?
I think the biggest thing would have to be the getting the laughter. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's in a sense, you can say, I've heard approval and love and stuff, but to me, I think it just comes down to the appeal of being able to give something to someone. From a very young age, I found that I could make people laugh, and in a sense, I see it as a sort of service of a sort, for lack of a better way. There's a generosity to it. You're giving it away. You're giving something to someone. You're appealing and you're fulfilling a need that they have, and it's a really kind of powerful experience when I think about it, which I try not to do very often because then it just becomes too much. But really, just to be able to, because a room filled with laughter is just a room full, in a way that is in no other way. This space is filled, and it's just a loving, and I think it's reciprocal, and so it becomes this mutual relationship between audience and performer, and there is an intimacy to it. But that one between performer and audience it's quite fascinating. I find it in ministry, actually, in a similar way.
You knew what my next question
would
be,
anticipated
so you just
it,
go right ahead.
Well, I found it often in various forms of ministry too, like however that may be, if it's being with someone or in spiritual direction or something. It's always that connection, that relationship that's established, however that comes about for me. So whether that be with one spiritual directee sitting, listening to his experience of God, or me on a stage in front of 100 people who I don't know, God is present, very present.